So now that Traxion is well and truly back, how about another Assetto Corsa Competizione Track guide? Yes, we've seen all of the comments coming through asking us to complete the set, so whilst we continue to get back on our feet, let's start with the easier of the two remaining circuits. The Red Bull Ring arrived on ACC in January 2024 as part of the purchasable GT2 DLC pack. It's a circuit that always produces superb racing, and whilst it might appear an easy layout to master, there is time hidden away in the curbs that you might not quite be exploiting. So here is our Traxion track guide using the relatively new Ferrari 296 GT3. As always, this lap was set in Hotlap mode, in relatively cool conditions, around 20 degrees. Use it not as an exact recommendation for how hard to attack every single lap, but as a way of showing you what might be possible in each corner, and to understand the sorts of lines and techniques that may well help you extract more lap time than you're currently managing. The setup for this car and info surrounding this will be available in the description below. So on with the guide. Heading up to turn 1, move left over the curb as early as you can and brake hard just before the 100 meter board in a straight line. This track is all about making the most of the available space, and it's perfectly legal here to be this far left. You just need to make sure that any small part of your car is touching the red and white stripy curb, even if it's just 1 centimeter of one tyre. Shift down to second gear, and don't turn in until just after the 50 board, easing off the brake pedal as you do turn. This is where the car can get very unstable, so just be careful not to be too aggressive with your inputs, and make sure you are rolling off the brake. Aim to put your right front wheel on the stripy apex curb, but avoid the yellow hump on the inside. Hitting this will be disastrous in most car and setup combos, so in a racing situation, I'd recommend taking a little bit less risk than in a hot lap. It's all about getting on the power early, and as you can see, I'm already squeezing the throttle pedal as soon as I turn into the corner, and then I'm on full throttle by the apex. This will give you a good run all the way up the hill. You can carry the speed out of turn 1 by using all of the extra road available. Again, as long as any of your right side rubber is touching the stripy curb, it's legal, so you can in fact run your left wheels over the yellow sausage curb, as it's fairly flat. Take the shortest line up the hill, straight lining these subtle curves. Turn 2 is a flat out kink to the left, that basically sets up the braking for turn 3, so use this to pull your car fully to the left. I put my wheels over the white line so that I'm in the perfect spot for braking into turn 3. Again, as long as your inside tyres touch the stripy curb, it's legal, so brake nice and late in a straight line all the way over to the left of the road. Here, I'm stamping on the brake just before the 100 meter line. That steep elevation will dramatically increase stopping power. This hairpin is a first gear corner. I wait until I've almost reached the end of the curb, then I slowly roll off the brake pedal as I turn in, continuing to apply a bit of pressure just to keep the nose down and optimal grip from the front tyres. Trail braking is an incredibly important technique around here. In fact, nearly every corner requires it if you want to get a fast lap time. Every time I say the term rolling off the brake, I essentially mean trail braking, and if you want to understand what I mean by that exactly and how to do it, check out our full guide to trail braking via the link on screen now. It's a similar technique here to turn 1, but at a slower speed of course. You want to be getting back on the power before you even reach the apex, and that apex is on the stripy inside curb, but avoiding the yellow hump yet again. Open out your steering and let the car run out wide on exit so that you can make use of that early throttle application. I actually think you can go wider on exit than I did on this lap if you wish, so feel free to be even earlier than I was on the throttle and run all the way over the yellow sausage curb to allow this. As always, it's just about keeping in some small contact with that stripy curb in order for the lap to remain legal. I then straight line the next bit on my way towards turn 4. Even though it's also a tight right-hander with a left kink on entry, this one is downhill, so it feels like a very different corner. For the third time in 3 braking zones, use the 100 meter board as your line of reference, slowing down just before it. Positioning is the same as always, all the way over the curb on the left, and trail braking here is more important than ever. As you shift down to first, slowly roll off that brake pedal and start turning in before you approach the end of the curb on the left. This one, with its off-camber and downhill nature, is very easy to get wrong and run wide, so I'm turning in fairly early here just to ensure that I make it to the apex curb. This is probably one of the corners where the aliens will find a couple of tenths or so by opening it out that little bit more. You can see that I actually go to turn in ever so slightly early, so then make a small correction and go again, causing me to just miss the apex. If you can, get up on that curb with your front right. I'm on the brake pedal all the way to the apex here, leaving it late before getting back on the power and using all of the available space on exit, right up to the edge of the gravel trap. If your car's too loose on exit with the steering and the camber, try short shifting to second gear for a more stable ride. Head back to the right to minimise the distance through turn 5 and prepare for 6. It's business as usual with the positioning on entry, all the way over the curb but keeping one bit of contact, except this time it's a much faster and arguably trickier corner to master. I start turning in and then braking just before the 50-metre line, being careful to use slow and smooth inputs in order to avoid unsettling the car on turn-in. Big trail braking is required here, and as I shift down to second early in the corner and the engine braking pulls me in further, I'm able to apply that little bit of extra steering lock to get me in over that stripy apex curb. It's a long corner, so to maximise it you really want to be carrying good speed in and hitting that apex at just the right moment, not too late and not too early. I am squeezing the throttle back on just before I get to the apex, and then I'm fully back on it when I reach it. You do have to watch for oversteer here though. The car can step out under full throttle when you cross this curb, so if you want those fast lap times, you'll need to manage this, or play it a bit safer with either a safer setup or less throttle in that moment. Your momentum should carry you all the way out to the exit, and there's no need to worry about track limits here. Just do your best to avoid dipping a wheel over the blue tarmac and into the gravel. Stick all the way to the right for turn 7. Again, I'm turning in for this corner just before I start braking and just after the curb ends. A quick dab of the brakes, staying in third, and then rolling off the brake pedal as I wind on the steering lock and get all the way over the inside curb, much earlier than in turn 6. Get on the power earlier than you think, as it's perfectly legal to run over the teeth on the exit, so long as you're keeping contact with that stripy curb. As well as allowing you to carry great exit speed, this line also allows you to shorten turn 8, as you will already be as far to the inside as you possibly can be without getting penalised. As with all of these tiny margins for track limits, you may want to give yourself a bit more leeway in the race to avoid picking up penalties. This just hopefully shows you what can be done and what is allowed to be done if you really need to on a push lap. Let the steering wind off as you run to the left on the exit of 8. Stick to the white line and get ready to once again haul yourself over the curb for the braking zone into turn 9. Just before the 50-metre mark, jump on the brakes and instantly begin heading for the apex, shifting down to third. Again, trail braking is key. It's all about balancing your steering input with your brake pressure to maintain the perfect level of grip needed to make the corner. You're aiming for your front right wheel to be all the way onto the stripy curb. In fact, on this occasion, get it even further, onto the blue netted section. Get back on the throttle as you reach your apex, and if everything's gone perfectly, you should naturally run out beyond the stripy curb, and even the teeth, so long as, you guessed it, you keep contact with the stripy curb with your inside tyres. I was as close as you can possibly get to the limit on this particular lap. If there was an equivalent to Goal Line Technology or Hawkeye, the crowds would probably be gasping. Unlike previous examples where you kept the car all the way over here, on this occasion you're going to need to pull the car back to the right immediately to avoid bottoming out as you brake for turn 10. So long as you're right on the far left edge of the teeth, you should be okay. Get on the brakes hard, just as the additional Austrian flag runoff area ends on the left. Stay in third, and quickly make your way to the inside, easing off the brake as you aim for the stripy inside curb. As always, avoid the yellow hump on the inside, as this is likely to throw your car out wide, and get back on the power as soon as you feel the car drop over the apex curb. This is such a satisfying corner when you get it right. It feels like the curb hooks you in and pulls you around. It just makes it fast and rewarding, allowing you to carry great speed all the way out over the curb on the outside as you power towards the finish. Track limits here are the same as everywhere else. Keep contact with the stripy curb and you should be fine. A slight difference here, however, is that if you are as wide as you're allowed to be, you might end up bottoming out a bit and losing both speed and stability, so I really wouldn't recommend allowing your left front to drift over the high left edge of those teeth. But that's it, you've completed a fast lap of the Red Bull Ring. So now let's see how it all flows together. So there's your lap. A circuit of fine margins. You really do need to push the boundaries here to find that last second, but as I keep banging on about, if you at least know where those limits are on a hot lap, you'll be able to better judge just how much liberty can be taken during a regular race stint. I can guarantee you that by simply getting closer to the edges than you were previously, you will gain free lap time, regardless of nailing the other bits. So what about lap time targets then? This lap was a 127.58, but the pros would be looking at high 26s in these sorts of hot lapping conditions, with even more aggressive setups and mid-lap TC and bias adjustments. If you're getting up to speed as an AM, then anything below a 134 is a decent lap time, whereas those of you looking to compete online should be looking around about the 1:30 mark. As always, these times are simply set as targets to try and motivate you. Please don't be disheartened if you aren't there yet. Track conditions, setup, fuel levels all play a huge role in affecting lap time, and I certainly wouldn't be looking to drop below 28s regularly if I was in a normal session. The main thing is that you were able to learn something from this video to help you go faster around the circuit. Right then, anyone for a 10-second summary? Yeet through turn 1 from wide line, wide exit, wide line 3, wide exit, wide line 4, use the curb unlike me, wide exit, wide line 6, trail brake, watch for oversteer, wide line 7, brush your teeth, shortcut 8, full yeet into 9, wide exit, brush your teeth, hang on through 10, full power, wide exit, brush your teeth again. Thanks as always for watching, and don't forget to grab your setups from the description. If you found this track guide or any other that we've done useful, then we would really appreciate it if you could leave us a like, as it does help us reach wider audiences. Subscribe to the Traxion channel if you haven't already for videos like this in future, and be sure to check out our ACC playlists as we have a near full set of track guides and various other ACC tips and tricks from over the years. Until next time, thanks again, and I hope you all have a great day.